All right. Okay, we're rolling. So, welcome, Jesse Singh, aka Punjabi Timbit.
Mo, thank you
Right?
for having me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking sick. Thanks for having me, Matt.
No problem. It's fucking hot. So, if you guys hear an AC in the back, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to edit it out, but we'll see what happens.
Buddy, it's been fucked outside.
Yeah.
Like 35 degrees, and then it's like there's like a bit of rain. I don't know. We're kind of talking about this way too early, but like I don't know. This just popped in my head. Did you hear about how Dubai made their own rain?
They made their own rain?
They
No,
did
I didn't hear about
They
that.
did it. Apparently, it's been a thing for like a minute, and they've done it in North America. But like Dubai isn't used to having a lot of rain because it's a fucking desert.
Yeah,
So
that
basically,
makes sense.
they like having they like doing it as like once in a while type of thing for the people or whatever. So like they'll release some kind of chemical into the atmosphere that resembles water vapor, and it fills up the clouds, and it mimics like what rain, like how rain would start. And then it
Shit.
just, but apparently they put too much and it flooded the whole city, and they don't have the infrastructure to like
Yeah, no shit. It's not like they're gonna have drainage.
Yeah.
They have like sand dunes. What are they gonna do?
So it fucked up everything.
That's crazy. I know they build a bunch of like they mimic natural things in a lot of ways. They have like some island that they built, like man-made islands, where
yeah.
they built houses and shit.
And they like
that has problems too, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, bro, you're like, that's like next level fucking with nature. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like creating
They're
weather.
creating rain. That's insane. Literally trying to be Rain Man.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, I don't know how. I'm actually curious to see how that works. I wish I had a fucking Jamie to pull it up. Cause I was just telling you that I'm like I want to talk about science and shit on the pod because I have a degree in science, so I would be curious to see how they pulled that off. I
Yo,
don't know. Can you give it a quick Google right now
Yeah.
on your
yeah.
phone?
Hell yeah, dude.
You're my guest and my producer at the same
Jamie,
time.
dude. But
Yeah.
yo, how did you? What do you call it? Is I know it's two different sciences. Neil deGrasse Tyson's not chemistry, but
Yeah.
like, is he overhyped, or is that like he's
Neil
like
deGrasse
really
Tyson?
He's really the guy. Because I was talking to one of my cousins who's like, this guy's like a science genius.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
he's an engineer, but he
Yeah.
likes like science and shit and like physics and whatever. And he's like, yo, basically the stuff this guy says is like common knowledge.
Yeah.
He's just a good like,
Communicator.
yeah.
Yeah, so he is an astrophysicist. I know that. So that means he studies like the galaxy, the universe, stars, planets, stuff like that. I'm a chemist, which is completely different. And I respect his like whatever his credentials are. I didn't actually look them up, but I'm sure he has whatever it says on his resume. If he has like a PhD or okay.
So it's called cloud seeding. So
I've heard of that.
in the 1990s, the UAE introduced a rain enhancement methodology called cloud seeding. Cloud seeding is the process of increasing the amount of rain produced from the clouds, which is designed to improve water shortage issues in arid regions around the emirate.
Okay, so how do they hold on, let me read that bottom part again. Increasing the
So here it says their approaches for,
how does it work? Because like what do they do to seed these clouds?
let's see. Oh, their approach is to fire hygroscopic water.
Hygroscopic,
Yeah,
okay.
hygroscopic water attracting salt flares from aircraft into warm.
I'm pretty sure they
clouds.
misspelled that. It's not hygroscopic. I think it's hydroscopic. So there's my because I know water repelling something. So like soap, for example, the way like soap works, why it like washes out oils,
Yeah.
is because it's hydrophobic. So it forms little bubbles around the oils and repels the
shit.
yeah. So soap and like oil is hydrophobic. The opposite. So that means repels water. Hydroscopic, I think, is what they were looking for. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, no, brother, you might be right. They
Yeah.
misspelled the fucking hydroscope. They made rain that
Yeah.
had no sewers. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
The idea is similar to a rain project. Okay, so it's to fire hydroscopic water tracking salt flares from an aircraft into warm. I don't know what that word is. Cumuliform clouds. Cumuliform, bro. I fired out a few cumuliform clouds before you came here, so I don't know what
just
to.
trolling.
All right. Okay, so that's sick. They're trying to fucking be God there, or Allah. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Eh?
Dude.
No, but yeah, fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yeah, I respect whatever credentials he has. I'm sure I agree. He's just a really good communicator. I wasn't hiling there. I just said bye to my wife as she
Yeah.
was leaving. Sorry. Um, just for the people watching, like, what is this guy doing? So he is a very good communicator. And at this point, that's his job mostly, right? He makes his money
Yeah.
doing like documentaries and stuff. He's probably, if I were to like guess, because I'm not like, I don't really follow him or anything like that. If I were to guess, he makes most of his money through science communication and not actually doing research.
Gotcha.
So he's probably a little outdated when it comes to like actual cutting edge of whatever his field is. And he probably says some stuff that might not be accurate because science changes so quickly. Like the stuff I learned in school, I just graduated last year. I defended my thesis in August. And by now, I'm sure there's already new theories that they're teaching. So imagine like that, like 5 years and then a decade, like shit comes out that you can't just keep up with. I'm sure he's capable, but
Yeah.
he's just a communicator. He's like a science influencer.
Yeah. That
He
makes
has
sense.
like science OnlyFans, you know.
What was your thesis on?
My thesis, I got my degree in synthetic organic chemistry.
What is that?
It's so
Synthetic organic?
synthetic organic chemistry. So it's basically just synthetic chemistry, but I'm focusing on like, so synthetic means synthesis, making.
Yeah.
And I'm focusing more on like molecules that would be found in organic compounds, as opposed to there's also a field called inorganic chemistry,
Okay.
which is more like bottom of the periodic table, which is more like heavy metals
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I'm focused on like top, like hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, like the stuff that we see in life all the time.
Brother, I don't.
My actual thesis was on the synthesis of ADHPs, stands for alkylidine dihydropyridines,
Which means, in layman's terms.
which means it's a fancy name for a specific type of molecule.
And you were trying to observe how it reacts to shit?
Yeah, so it's okay. So yeah, basically, yeah, I was trying to find a more effective way to make it.
Okay.
Usually in industry now, the thing about like even AI, right? It's taking chemist jobs away too, because what we do in the lab is we usually what I if I wasn't a fucking comedian and I actually got a job in chemistry,
Yeah.
I would probably get a job as something as someone called a process chemist, which means you take molecules and you find a better process to make those molecules. Because if you think about like regular drugs that we have that we use every single day, like take, I don't know, insulin, for example, like a very
Yeah.
generic drug has been around for a while. It's made on like kiloton scales in industry because it's so popular. You have to know. So that means the process, every single little detail about the process, like if there is a step where you have to perform a reaction at a certain temperature that's above room temperature, to make it on that huge scale, every single degree above room temperature costs millions of dollars to heat that much material,
Holy
right?
fuck, bro.
So to refine the process, it's a whole job, right? So if you can make molecules with more like efficient processes, like lower temperatures or like closer to room temperature without cooling or heating, faster reactions, using like catalysts is a term for a molecule that facilitates a reaction.
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
eliminating catalysts or basically getting from point A to B in the most efficient way possible. There's so much money in that. If you can like save time and money on every single step, right? If you're talking about like industrial drugs,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that was my spiel. I'm defending my thesis again.
Brother, that sounds fucking insane. Bro.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then how did. I feel like I'm asking a lot of questions, but like, how did
No, it's-
that realm of like the whole chemistry thing
Yeah.
translate into you wanting to do comedy?
I mean, I was doing comedy while I was doing chemistry. I was always doing comedy.
Oh,
It's
like
just-
you were always just a fan
yeah,
of it. Okay.
it just never like it only like it took off to where it's like just the way the timing worked out. I had a point basically after I defended my thesis, where I had a decision to make. Do I want to like get a job as a consultant or pursue comedy? Because I was lucky enough to kind of have a few videos that went viral and start making a little bit of cash off of like social media, mostly, not even really comedy.
Yeah.
But I actually shout out to Shanil. He's a comic in Toronto. I don't know if you met him. Shanil Patel.
Oh, I did meet him. Yeah, I did meet Chanel. Yeah.
So I remember after like outside when I was like way before I defended my thesis, I was already contemplating like, what do I do? Do I get a job or do I commit to this? And we had a talk, and he said he's a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
So he makes bank. He makes so much money, and he's a funny guy. He's like, man, I make enough money to live a comfortable lifestyle, but like if I had the choice, I'd fucking go into comedy. So like, you know what? You're a smart guy. You know what you're doing. I'm just gonna take your word for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. What about you? So you've been. I met you. Okay. So yeah. How did we meet? We met like a few weeks ago. We've been around. I'm sure I've seen you at shows and stuff.
Probably, yeah. We
But
definitely probably crossed paths.
but I actually met you the first time a few weeks ago at York Muay Thai's comedy event. They had like a little comedy fundraiser. So you train Muay Thai.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to York Muay Thai
Shout out to York
and
Muay Thai.
Marco.
Yeah, Crew Cam, Crew Jen, everybody there. So I've been going there since I was 13 years old, right?
Yeah, which is fucking
It's
nuts,
a coincidence.
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been training there for like a year, you said?
Almost, yeah, I would say just about a year now, but I've been kind of like on and off. It was one of those things where I trained just to like, I guess, like stay fit and like just learn like self-defense type shit. My goal was never really to necessarily fight,
Yeah.
like amateur or pro level. It was just to like learn the basics. But like, yeah, I just love, like we were talking about before this, I just fell in love with the community, the gym, like just the atmosphere of it, just because like the one thing I always loved about Muay Thai specifically, because I did boxing for a bit and like I liked boxing, but I think the environment and the atmosphere and the culture of boxing
Right.
breeds like this very much like you're in this for yourself. Like it's
Right.
like very much of an ego sport. And then Muay Thai kind of has that. Like you have that charisma, showboating type shit for sure.
Yeah.
But when you train as a team. You know what I mean? You train as a collective, which I was always drawn to that way
Yeah.
more. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, York Muay Thai. I was just telling you that that place has like, an awesome community. Like the
dope,
people,
bro.
the people there, the OGs that were, I still saw there. Like I was there since they opened in 2010, I think. I came 3 years later in 2013.
Yeah.
So those people, some of those people, I grew up with them. They watched me grow up. I watched them, develop. So it's unreal. And so you said you trained boxing and then you went to like an MMA gym as well. Is that where you train boxing or?
So yeah, the boxing gym was actually, it was dope. Shout out to Grant's. It was like or Rivals Boxing is what they call it too. But RG's like one of the best fucking coaches in the city in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
he's great. Yeah, super. Yeah, and what like the coaches, everything was dope. I just think like I was also drawn to the idea of Muay Thai because you're using everything, right?
Yeah, all the
Knees,
weapons.
elbows, all the weapons,
The
right?
seven
And
weapons, yeah.
and then I remember I tried one class at Crudar initially,
Nice,
which
okay.
was the first gym I trained at, and then I just fell in love with the sport, and then I'm like, yo, I want to continue doing this.
Yeah, and to that point of like the community aspect, I think that is York Muay Thai is awesome, but I think you'll find that most Muay Thai gyms that you go to have that kind of community, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think it comes with the nature of the sport. Here in Canada, actually, there's like Siam number 1. I think that was the first Muay Thai gym that opened
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Canada, and they bring that culture from Thailand. Like Muay Thai is like everything. They
Yeah.
live and breathe it, right?
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like have you ever been? I don't know.
I've been to Thailand.
Yeah.
I've never like trained there, but
I'm
I've
sure-
watched fights and shit. Cause like you said, and it wasn't even at what actually happened, bro. I was in Koh Samui, which was like the smaller towns. It wasn't like
Yeah, yeah.
Bangkok or anything. And they have like a stadium, and I was gonna go to the stadium to watch this fight,
Mm-hmm.
but then the driver, the taxi or whatever, dropped me off at the wrong spot, so I was just lost. And then I just ended up in this random area where like it was like outside they had like these little stalls,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was just like little, like there were bar stands or like people selling food. And then later in the night they literally just move these fucking stands, like these stalls, they move it out to the side, and they had a ring in the middle of it.
That's crazy.
And they just started a whole Muay Thai event at like 11 o'clock at night, just randomly.
Yeah.
Like you would never think that there was gonna be like the fight here, but it was just dope because it was kids. There were like 15, 16-year-olds, and
Yeah.
like, but everyone was like, the energy was dope because like it wasn't like like, you like here you watch like UFC and stuff, and you're waiting for a dude to get knocked the fuck out, or you want to
Yeah.
see blood. But like here you're watching these guys fight, and you could tell they're just reacting to the skill level that they were presenting. You know what I mean?
Muay Thai is so entertaining. I don't know why.
crazy.
It's so slept on, because the thing is, when people watch UFC, you hear people complaining when guys wrestle and do ground game jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's slow and it's harder for the layman
Yeah.
to understand. Whereas Muay Thai, I think Dana White's doing this whole thing with fucking slapping or whatever. He's missing out. If he branded a UFC Muay Thai championships, that would be insane.
Yeah.
That would be insane. There's like ONE FC out there that used to
Yeah.
be Pride that have like kickboxing promotions, but I think
Yeah.
a pure Muay Thai promotion with a established like North American brand, because again
100%.
Muay Thai needs no marketing in Thailand, right?
Yeah.
Again, they like, it's like hockey here. You're born, as soon as you can walk, they slap some shorts on you and you fucking go start kicking
you
a
start
bag,
fighting,
right?
bro.
So if they can find a way to market that in North America, I think people just don't realize how entertaining it is, because it's all stand up,
Yeah,
right? They
all
just
of it.
fucking they bang, right?
Bro, and the pace is fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
it would be so easy to sell.
Yeah.
And look at all our champs right now. Israel Adesanya, Muay Thai, right? Poatan, the double champ right now. What's his Alex Pereira?
Yeah.
Yeah. Muay Thai,
Yeah.
right? They're all Muay Thai guys. It's unreal. And that would be an opportunity to see them just only stand up. There's a clinch, right? Which
Yeah.
is not even wrestling, and there's no ground game. It's all stand up. So I don't know what Dana White is doing with the slap fucking championships. He should get on Muay Thai real quick.
that
But-
whole thing is crazy. Have you ever seen those videos?
yeah, dude, it's insane. Dude, I'm like, I have a lot of like Russian videos that pop up on my FYP of like that's been going on in Russia forever, right?
Well, like that was a thing.
The slap championships, yeah. They have this new thing in Russia now. They have two cool things that I saw. They have ice fighting. It's literally dudes on skates fighting, beating the shit out of each other.
Like,
Which is so hilarious. It's like, yes, this is a good idea. We'll do this right now. And then the coolest thing is they have phone booth fights.
that like as a legit.
They shove two guys in a phone booth with gloves and they go at it in a phone booth. So there's nowhere to go.
That's fucking.
It's hilarious.
That's
It's
fucking cooked, bro.
CTE Central, but like it's
That's so
in
funny.
like one of those like, generic like London type phone booths.
Yeah.
And then it's just a GoPro in there and then like fucking go.
That's so good.
Can
dude.
you imagine that?
Oh fuck.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think part of the feeling you had from like the community at YMT is definitely drawn from Muay Thai as opposed to like a boxing or an MMA.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a big it's because it's such a cultural thing there. There's a lot of like how do I say this? Like established like traditions, I guess.
Even
right?
just in the way of fighting, like one of my crew, like my first crew Darwin, he was talking to me about this, about how like in Thailand, like a lot of these guys that fight, they can obviously knock you the fuck out whenever they wanted, right? Like in a fight, but like there's certain things they won't necessarily do just out of respect for the opponent.
Oh, yeah.
Like they won't like try to elbow you in the face so hard they break your face, or they're not going to knee you in the face just for the sake of like getting a knockout. They might do it like for points, but they won't do it to the point where they're trying to knock their opponent out. They just want to win the fight. Whereas like because they have like over 100 fights a year or under their belt, whereas here fighters in the UFC will fight every time couple months, but when they do, it's to like literally put this person to the fucking floor. But over there they know, they're like, yo, if I seriously hurt this guy, his livelihood is done. So there's like that huge respect factor there, which was crazy. So
and even when you're training, it's called like tech sparring, right? Like, so it's not going full out, it's just like playing around essentially, like tapping. And like just to show, okay, like there is an opening here, I take it, and you just tap the guy. You don't have to fucking knock him in the face, right? So there's a lot of control, there's a lot of respect, and I find that like because I don't know like how long ago it was invented. I just feel like because there's such a huge culture around it, and it's like it is like I think it's an ancient art form. I think it's pretty fucking old. It's been around for a while,
for a minute.
Compared to something like boxing, which is not new, but relatively newer. BJJ was literally like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was literally it's younger than us, right? I think it started from in Brazil in like the 90s or something, right? Like just before
the
UFC.
Gracie brothers,
the Gracie family
made it big, right? They didn't necessarily like.
But it wasn't around
it
for a long time, though.
No, I don't think it was around for and it's still there's like new shit developing all the time from it too, which is crazy. Like it's still an art form that continues to grow.
It's crazy how combat is such a like fighting in general is such a primal thing, right?
Yeah.
That's been around in some shape or form forever, right?
Yeah.
Since the dawn of humanity. And how fast like martial arts is still advancing right now. Like MMA has kind of grown exponentially in just the past few decades.
Yeah.
And
Huge.
it's crazy to think that, because like if you think of all these random sports that involve like, you know, like basketball, hockey, golf, whatever, like it involves some kind of net or a ball that was kind of invented with, as you know, as civilization became advanced enough that we don't have to worry about getting fucked in the ass by a saber-toothed tiger. But like fighting has been around. It's crazy how now it's advancing so fast, even though it's been around for so long.
Yeah.
But so all these art like karate, Muay Thai, in these different parts of the world, fighting developed so differently. You know what I mean? So that
what's crazy to me about, have you ever trained jiu-jitsu?
no, I've never. I did judo, and
Yeah.
there's a ground aspect to judo, and that's
Yeah.
the closest I've ever got to jujitsu.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't say I've trained jiu-jitsu. I've done like a couple like just sparring sessions with my boy who does it like
Yeah.
very religiously.
Yeah.
But like even in that, like
Couple of jujitsu sparring
Yeah,
sessions
with
with
your
your
boys.
boy. You know what I mean? You never just do that. Long day at work.
Yeah,
do
just be
some
like-
jits with the boys. You know, roll around on the ground.
just release some pressure.
I have 2 vids that are popping off right now about like jujitsu being gay. Literally,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just me like your friend that did jujitsu once. Like, yo, I can fuck you up so much, a striker has no chance. Come in my
I saw
guard.
that.
Take my back, please.
Yeah, I thought that.
It's so funny. And dude, so many UFC fighters are interacting. Dominic Cruz just fucking like liked the video, and like they're all like
That's
they're
so
all
crazy,
because it's
bro.
so funny. It's true. It's funny. It's anyways, continue. Yeah.
No, it is
So
pretty
you were
gay.
doing jujitsu
But-
with the boys,
with the boys,
understandably.
But what I was gonna say though was like, yo, you don't really see it as like an actual fighting quote unquote art form until you do it, because
Right.
you realize there's like so much little intricate shit that like you wouldn't realize, like, you know what I mean, like just about weight distribution, your
Yeah.
balance,
Yeah.
like, and you see videos of like smaller guys like literally fucking up 6-foot dudes from tapping
Yeah.
them out submissions and all of that shit, but like for the layman person who's never done it, you don't really realize that it's a skill until you're thrown into a match.
Yeah, I think the cool in jiu-jitsu or in a striking sport, the cool like KOs or chokes, arm bars that you see online that are like this
Yeah.
crazy flying kick KO, it's usually there's a disparity between skill levels. It's
Yeah,
usually somebody
100%.
that's really advanced fighting somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
When it gets to 2 guys that are trained, it becomes a chess match, whether it's striking or jiu-jitsu, and it's kind of boring to watch.
Yeah, you're not gonna
Because-
do a flying fucking knee.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Because at that point, those guys are both so skilled and trained that every single movement, there's like they've trained every movement and the reaction to every movement so many times that it becomes really hard to catch the other guy, and it becomes
Yeah.
a bit of a boring chess match. And it always goes back to the basics, right? It's like the jabs, the distance, and stuff like that. And again, I don't know a lot about the ground game, but you know, I'm not opposed to rolling around with the boys. I want to learn a little bit, because it is important. Every fight
100%.
starts on the feet, but I think jiu-jitsu is slept
If someone
on.
gets a hold of you or like a grapple, and you don't know what you're
Yeah,
doing, you're
yeah.
fucked, brother.
Yeah,
You
no,
know what I mean?
it's
you might
tough.
get diddied.
Yeah, you will definitely get diddied if you train jiu-jitsu. I think a lot of guys that train jiu-jitsu aren't opposed to getting diddied.
Yeah.
They're in it for the diddying.
No,
you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah, no,
No,
it's
fuck.
hilarious. I love the comments on that. It's funny because I get like no hate. It's all the jiu-jitsu community just being like, I love this. This is so true. We're here for it.
No one got mad?
Nobody's getting mad.
I'm surprised, bro.
It's
I
only
was-
positive comments,
I
bro.
was waiting for someone to be like, you don't even fucking know, bro. Why don't you step in the ring and da da da.
You know what's insane? A lot of the videos that have gone viral for me have some aspect of like rage bait, where I say something that's controversial and people give me like, I get death threats in my DMs.
Yeah.
But these two, all the videos about
We're
jujitsu being gay,
cooking.
it's literally jujitsu guys in my DMs going like, make more, please. This is
That's
hilarious.
so
I love it.
funny, bro.
UFC fighters commenting,
Yeah.
like I'm like fucking yeah, like it's they get it. They get it, bro.
They're for it, dude.
You know, there's nothing wrong with rolling with the boys sometimes.
Oh, that's
Especially I also made it because it's like it's Pride Month, so the caption for the first one was just Happy Pride Month.
yeah, it's so good.
So
I
it's,
saw that one.
yeah, it's funny, bro. Yeah, it's oh yeah, and so I saw some of your content is funny too. I saw some of your like immigrant parent content.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I have some of those too. So were you born here?
I was born here. Yeah, we
Okay.
are born and raised in Toronto. My mom obviously immigrated here from India.
Nice.
And but yeah, I've never even been back, to be honest. I went when I was like 8 years old. So like I don't
Yeah.
really know much about the country itself except what I've learned through my household. You know
Yeah,
what I
which
mean?
is so
Yeah.
that's so are we? Because I'm the same thing. My parents were born in Latvia and then they came here. So are we technically first gen or second generation? I think it's second generation.
I always get fucking confused at this.
Yeah.
I think it's second generation just because they would be considered, because since
First.
they were the first Canadian citizen. Yeah.
So I think we're second generation. I always thought it was first generation, but recently somebody's like, no, it's second, and I'm
Yeah.
like, it makes sense.
yeah.
So yeah, man, that it's funny how again on the content side of it, that's like so relatable because you have Indian parents.
Yeah.
I have Slavic parents, and then there's a guy who Jesse Georgie. I had him on the podcast. He does like Arabic parents, and it's all the same struggle.
Yeah,
it's like,
100%,
it's
dude.
hilarious, man.
Bro,
Which is-
you were the struggle whites. You know?
yeah. Oh, bro, we were the struggle whites,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Fucking
Oh, fuck.
nothing
Dude.
easy. I just had a conversation with my dad about I'm like, there's that meme that it's like reading in school and it's a guy that's like sad or whatever, and then like reading for fun and it's like fucking I forgot what the show is, but you're like super into it,
Yeah.
right? So I'm a huge like World War II junkie. I feel like that's
Really, eh?
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's like a straight white male stereotype, just being really into World War
Yeah,
II.
I'm just brought into historic.
Yeah,
like,
just
history
super
wars
into
and shit.
the Hitler documentaries. No, but the reason is because I have so many family ties to that like conflict, right?
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
was
yeah.
really huge. And I had a conversation with my dad, man, about how about what they teach us in school here, because again, he grew up and went through the school system in the Soviet Union. So it's not only a different country, it's a different time, right?
Yeah, holy shit.
And now he was asking me what just recently, like he called me, I was in the car, he's like, what did they teach you here in Canada about the Second World War, right? And I was like, well, they don't teach us much about the second, mostly like, like D-Day, like the Canadians had
like
a big part of that.
They'll only teach you about like the big events that Canada or North America might have been involved
Exactly,
with.
yeah. World War One mostly because there was a big Canadian presence there. But so he was a little cheesed because he's like, no, Russia is real winners. Soviet Union. But it's true, man. I don't know if you've heard. Do you know who Dan Carlin is? Not the comedian. There's a historian.
Dan Carlin, no.
No? So he has a really cool podcast called Hardcore History.
Okay.
And there's a podcast, I suggest everybody listen to it, about, it's called Ghosts of the Austin Front, about essentially the Eastern Front of World War II.
Yeah.
And how insane it was. And how, like, how many people from the Soviet Union in general, so like Russians essentially, died during World War II in that conflict. Only Russians.
Holy shit.
How many people do you think? Give me a number.
In World War, as like the whole war?
The whole war, yeah. So like 39 to like 45.
I want to say 100,000.
100,000?
Yeah.
23 million.
What the
23 million.
million people?
Million people. So that includes soldiers, but also civilians, right? Because if you look at the conflicts that happened on the Western Front and the Eastern Front, the Western Front, after Pearl Harbor, the states joined, and there was the whole the Battle of the Bulge in the Ardennes, right? And the casualties there were huge. They were like in the hundreds of thousands. But those are the biggest casualty counts on the Western Front. Just if you look at the siege of Stalingrad and Leningrad, just those two conflicts together were already in the teens, like 15, 20, close to like 20 million just from those two battles.
Jesus Christ, bro.
And all the battles, right? So it's insane how and I truly understand, like, why would you it's tough because because of what happened after the war, like the whole situation with the Cold War, North America in general is now in a position where we are like political adversaries to Russia, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
And you don't want to install in the children, like the new generation, you want them to be patriotic, right? To North America. So you teach your side of history, which is like, but this podcast does a really good job of like as objectively as possible going through the conflict, because like he has a really good quote, like what's the hardest, he asked one of his professors, like what's the hardest part about learning history, and it's that you know what happened, right? So it's hard to objectively put yourself in the shoes of the people that had to make the decisions that led to whatever you're studying, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, it's a bit of a side story there.
Hardcore History is what it's called.
Hardcore History is the podcast series.
Yeah.
The guy who makes it is called Dan Carlin.
Okay.
And the specific podcast, it's 4 1-hour episodes. It's called Ghosts of the Austin Front. Awesome listen. He takes you through how brutal it was and how a lot of these Russian like the way that the Russians eventually defeated the Nazis on the Eastern Front is just by throwing meat at the problem, right? By meat, I mean just soldiers, just people, and outnumbering them. And there was like a lot of Russian soldiers, Soviet soldiers were scared of their own officers more than the Nazis, because there's a only forward mentality. If you saw somebody that wasn't like rushing forward in front of you, you were ordered to shoot them. And if you didn't shoot them, somebody else would shoot you. And if you survived somehow, they would fuck up your whole family. So it was a whole, just listen to it. I'm not a historian.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's fucked up, man. It's fucked up. So comedy, man. How's comedy going?
Yeah, it's been. I mean, yo, I wanted to ask a question about the war thing. Maybe this is my own ignorance, but with the way you're saying, like their solution was just to outnumber the Nazis from the Eastern Front. What made the Nazi Germany have such a stronghold in terms of their like army infrastructure? Like, why was it so strong that it was so hard for people to fucking break in and just like pulverize and have the war end sooner if they were outnumbered?
That's a good question. And the thing about history is that there is never a black or white answer, right? It's such a messy amalgamation of events that like it's so hard to make a clear. And as people, we want like a clear story. But like I guess in like a simple way. And again, I am not trained in history at all, right? I told you I'm a fucking scientist. This is my hobby. I just like to read about it. But I see it as, okay, look, the war really, like if you look at the things that happened to lead up to the Second World War, obviously you go to the First World War, right? Where Germany, and Norm Macdonald has a great joke about this. He's like, I'm going to butcher it, but he was like, the Germans, he was like, I've been to a lot of places in my life and I've performed in a lot of countries, and I'm not scared of any country except for Germany, because I don't know if you've heard of this little thing that happened called the First World War. Germany decided to go to war against the world. and they lost, obviously. Who does that? And then a little bit later, they decided to go to war again because, they're crazy. And who did they choose as their enemy but the fucking world? And can you imagine Norm Macdonald with his like deadpan delivery?
Yeah. So good.
Yeah. So there's the First World War. There's the Treaty of Versailles that fucks Germany financially, and there's a very bad situation in Germany. And then like Hitler fights in the First World War. There's a whole political situation.
He was a soldier?
He was a soldier in the First World War. Yeah, he was like a mail delivery guy or something like that.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. There's a really good documentary now on Netflix called Hitler's Circle of Evil that goes through like the Nuremberg trials, which is when they were like all the Nazis after the Second World War were on trial. That kind of like tales his life through like the things that happened that led to, him being
why he went fucking crazy.
Yeah. So he was a soldier, and then he ended up because there was like a lot of political unrest in the country. He joined this like Nazi party. They tried to unsuccessfully overthrow the government once.
So he didn't create the Nazi party. That party already existed.
No, the party existed. He joined the party. It used to be called like the Socialist Nationalist Workers Party or something like that.
Okay.
Right? So he joined that. They tried to overtake the government. He was thrown in jail. He wrote his like book, the Mein Kampf book, My Struggle book.
Yeah.
And then
My
and then
struggle. It sounds like a rapper.
yeah, bro. Yo,
Dude.
little Adolf, little Dolph.
Puppet Zens.
So, and then he became the leader of the party, and then they eventually took power. And then a bunch of stuff had to happen before the war actually broke out. But basically, the Treaty of Versailles fucked Germany, right? That's the short of it. And there was a bunch of things in there that was like, yeah, Germany can't produce a certain amount of arms because, like, you know, they de-armed them, and like there was a bunch of sanctions on them. And when the Nazi Party came to power, they were basically saying, fuck the Treaty of Versailles, we're doing whatever we want. And people were like, okay, you know what, we were a little harsh. And basically a bunch of things happened that Hitler technically wasn't allowed to do according to a bunch of international treaties. And
he did it anyway.
He did it anyway. People were letting him get away with it. And eventually he's like, we invade Poland, you know? And then they did that. And then even then, there was no resistance when he invaded Poland, right?
Yeah.
And he kept going and going, and then there was some resistance, and then there's this whole Blitzkrieg thing, which is like, for a long time, they weren't supposed to build any munitions, right? But they were like building all these new munitions, so they had a whole strong army that was very motivated because they were just fucked for like a decade after the First World War, that was very motivated to fight. They had this new technology, and they were out of nowhere just like blitzing people. It's called the Blitzkrieg, like really quickly taking over countries. And then it was basically almost like a surprise attack on Europe. And then eventually, you know,
without like just kind of overnight type shit.
Not overnight, but it happened.
But I mean, like the invasion, the idea to invade was just
it happened fast. It happened fast, right? Like Europe, like think about it. He went like, whatever, like Poland, Austria, France, and then he like, you know, he went boom, 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 and then Italy jumped in, started helping him, and then Japan jumped in. He was in Asia already, so it happened quick.
Fuck, brother.
Yeah, and his mistake was actually starting like opening an Eastern Front, because him and he had a pact with one of his representatives had a pact with Stalin not to like aggress.
Yeah,
but that was Napoleon's mistake too. Back when that was Napoleon's downfall, is that he was taking over Europe, decided to open an Eastern Front, and he failed. And Hitler was actually known to be a big Napoleon guy, and he's like, I'm not going to make the same mistake. He made the same mistake and failed. So, yeah, man. There we go. History lesson and a science lesson.
Buddy, that was crazy, brother.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So, you're doing a show at Absolute after this?
Yeah, we're going to head to Absolute right after this. Just a quick guest spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, comedy's been going good. Like, I think like I'm still trying to find my footing with the whole digital element, like the social media shit. Like we kind of talked about this earlier too, is that like my struggle with the whole thing is that like there's this pressure to constantly make content and like, you know what I mean, put shit out. But then at the same time, I'm also conflicted as a comedian, as a creative, as an artist, where it's like, yo, there's a bunch of ideas that I fucking hate. Yeah. But then I feel pressure to put out just to stay that, like, you know, like you said, stay consistent with the algorithm. Yeah. But then it's like, do I wait until like an idea hits me that I think is worth putting out? And then it's like, when you wait too long, are you not, like, you know what I mean? You're not keeping up with how much content you're supposed to be putting out. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? That I hate having that weird side of it, because my main goal is just stand up. Like, I could give less of a fuck about like the social media aspect of it, but that's obviously something that's going to complement your career at the end of the day. And that's something I had to come to terms with, because like in the beginning I was very much like, yo, fuck this, I don't need Instagram, TikTok, whatever, or like that stuff's bullshit. And then later on you realize you still have to change with the times, you know what I mean? And you can still use it as a means to work in your favor and also fuel the main thing, which is stand up, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. And it's definitely like an art within itself, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, making sketches is something like that I've never been good at. And I've seen like even like little ideas with the jujitsu thing you did, I thought was fucking hilarious. Yeah. But like, it's like it was also executed well, which I think is something I'm not the best at, is like figuring out camera angles, how to put it, shorten it, make it a minute, like all of that stuff.
Yeah, man. I feel like, how'd you get better at stand up?
Same thing. Yeah, I
You
guess
just
like yeah,
did
you
it.
just keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, I'm not fucking good either, but like, you see yourself improving. You see yourself
Yeah.
having fun, your ideas, and then when you're writing, you have like, oh, like this is a bit, and this could be a skit, and a lot of the times, like it's a premise could be twisted in so many different ways that they're both, that it's just like
Yeah.
it, they complement each other pretty well. But I completely see where you're coming from. What do you feel like how did you, because I know you post content now, and
Yeah.
I think, yeah, like I told you about your immigrant parents skits are hilarious, and usually their funniest ones are the ones that, just like with your jokes, come from like a place of
Real,
truth,
yeah, yeah,
right?
100%.
So how did you come to terms with accepting that and start to like put out content? What was your like kind of like click that made you do it, you know?
I think it was mostly like I said, like also just remembering that like I think before I had this weird, and I'm sure a lot of like people that have been doing stand up for a while now too have like this weird um thing in their mind that if you're a stand-up comedian, you have to be purely stand-up. Like that's like
Yeah.
one art form that you got to stay true to. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have to or like if you put too much effort into Instagram, TikTok, that like once you start blowing up on there, you'll forget about stand-up comedy, which obviously is not true at all.
No, yeah.
And I think I had to get over the hump of like also recognizing that like me telling myself like, yo, you don't need this shit, was also coming from a place of like fear, right? Because it is scary, like social media and the algorithm, and having to stress about like, yo, putting all these like videos together, and like the amount. And I know it's like whatever people say, the negative comments and shit, just move past it, but sometimes you'll read shit and you'll be like, yo, what the fuck? Like, I thought this was great. Like, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Or
yeah.
like, you'll see people posting stuff and you'll be like, bro, these videos are like, they don't make no sense. Like, how are these getting traction? So I think it's like little shit like that, where it's like, now I'm at a place where I'm like, I care less about the return on it, and more so if it's like something I like or I think I find funny and I find entertaining, I'm just gonna put it out and then like see what happens, you know. And I think the biggest example I also saw was guys like Mark Anthony. Shout out to Mark Anthony, who his stand-up comedy is like insane. Like he's fucking hilarious on stage live, but even his videos, it's like it's still him. It's like very much organic to who he is when you see him in person, when you see his stand-up comedy. But like he also talked about how like, you know, it's just a matter of throwing stuff out as consistently as you can, stuff that you find fun and entertaining. And like you said, over time you get better, but eventually something is going to stick.
Yeah.
And once that one thing hits, when people come to see more of you, they'll look at all your other shit as like simultaneously,
Yeah.
you know?
That's literally what it is. Just throw shit at the wall and see
Yeah,
what sticks.
yeah, see what sticks.
Yeah, and if it does come from a place of um, like truth, yeah, like I said, the best skits that I've done are usually the most random. Like this jujitsu one, like I also have like fucking. I spend so much time doing this and writing, and like whether it's jokes or skits, and I usually I'll have a video that I'm so excited for. I'm like, this is the funniest thing I've ever written.
Yeah.
I'm super careful about filming it, and I edit it up real nice, and I put it out. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna wake up. It's gonna have 5 million views. I wake up, it's like 2 views, and like one person in my DMs telling me to go kill myself, and then.
No,
But then the stuff that blows up is just like this jujitsu skit that I filmed literally at Keys. I'm like, I told like another comedian, like, yo, hold my phone, let me do something real quick. And I'm like, jujitsu's gay, and boom, like,
yeah.
views, right? So you never know, and sometimes you do, like the Slavic skits that I did, like about like my parents and stuff. They like, I have a lot of jokes about, you know, growing up in like a Eastern European household.
Yeah.
And that's great, because then when those do well, and then people buy tickets to see your show, and you have jokes about what they liked on your, it's like it all
It all
comes full circle. But yeah, I feel like, yeah, I respect anybody that, and I understand completely where you're coming from. I think we all had that idea of like, yeah, this isn't like I'm a stand-up, this is what I do. And I really respect anybody that is doing this and that is trying to like do social media and do stand-up especially. And because it is tough, man, like what you just said about like a little bit like comparing yourself to others and saying like, how the fuck is that, like, and like that is something I struggle with every day too. And like, obviously, you know, it's been said a million times, right? Like, stay in your lane, you know, like just do
Yeah.
your thing. But it's so hard to do, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you want success, and you're like, what the fuck? That's not funny. How does this have a million views? This
Yeah,
stupid
yeah.
shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm way better. But it's just what it is, man. And I feel like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever had that with stand up too.
100%.
Being
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
why do they like him and not me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or her. Women are funny too. Why'd you laugh at that? That wasn't a joke. I was making a statement. All right, book me the lab. Bro, it's so funny. I have an inside job. I don't fucking care at this point. I've given up at being booked at the lab, but I always I talk to shout out Danton. I've talked to him about being booked there, and this is inside baseball. Only like 3 people will actually understand what this means. But whenever people tell me congrats about like doing like whatever fucking like JFL, the mothership, like
yeah.
I'm like, thanks, man. Still haven't been booked at the lab though. Don't have that check on my resume. So,
How was the mothership though?
oh, it was fucking unreal. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
I feel like just the idea of it seems sick, bro, because it's like it's a comedy club designed by a comic, right? Like
Yeah.
Rogan put the whole,
Yeah.
I guess, like idea behind it and shit. But like, yeah, it just seems fucking insane, dude, to
It
be
was
able
cool.
to rock the stage there.
It was cool, and the people that are there, you never know who the fuck is gonna like. All the people, like their door guys, are all hilarious.
Yeah.
Obviously, Rogan's always there, so it's cool to see. Like I didn't actually get to meet him. I was there for a couple of weeks, and I did a few shows, and I was the one show that I was opening for Christina that I actually had the chance to go into like the big room, do the big room.
Yeah.
I was like, please be on the same night as a Joe Rogan and Friends. I just really want to like pat his bald head. But he wasn't there. He was there the night before. I think it was like a Wednesday. He was there on the Tuesday and the Thursday. But when I was there, it was fucking Tony Hinchcliffe.
That's crazy.
It's all right. But yeah, just the people that are there are all hilarious, and it's a really cool atmosphere. It's kind of what I love about Keys too. Like it's like, I don't know, it just feels like all the people that are there that kind of get it, and it's fun to go there.
Yeah, it's free. Like you could talk, you could say and
Yeah.
do whatever type thing.
And
yeah.
they have all their phones are in little bags, so you can really say whatever you want.
At
And, like,
Mothership.
At Mothership.
That's crazy.
They put them, like, for all the audience, if you go in there, they put your phone in a yonder bag, and you can't take it out until you come
That's
back.
like the fucking Chappelle thing too.
Yeah.
Chappelle, when he came here at Scotiabank Arena, I went, but it wasn't him doing stand up. It was when he came to do this documentary thing.
Yeah.
And then like he still did some time. Like he did comedy obviously like in the beginning and like did some time at the end.
Right.
But yeah, they put them in these little pouch fucking things.
Yeah.
And bro, I remember, you know Cardinal Official? The Toronto reggae artist?
No.
But he was like huge back in the day,
Okay.
but he's like a Toronto icon.
Okay.
But this guy went up and sang songs for like an hour.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
his discography is not that big. So like halfway through, he started doing covers of other songs.
Okay.
And everyone was just waiting for Chappelle to come back.
Right.
And he's like, Toronto, what the fuck's pop? You guys are stush. This is the most bougie crowd. You guys ready for one more song? And simultaneously, you heard like thousands of people go, oh.
Imagine being him up there and be like, all right, well, fuck you then.
Yeah, Jesus.
No,
Fuck.
but like, see, that was the opposite. Like, the Mothership is the opposite. And you hear a lot of guys that are like the door guys there and people that work out there regularly.
Yeah.
They say you can't almost get used to only doing the Mothership. Well, okay, look, for guys like myself, it would be tough to only do that room because everybody's just so excited.
It's
to
just
be
hot.
there.
It's a hot crowd.
Yeah, it's hot. And like,
Yeah.
again, I only had I did three shows there, right? Which is like a small sample size, but the crowd was hot on every single night, and people, you can see why it would be. Everybody's super excited to be there. If you heckle, you're fucking gonna get kicked out by one of those jiu-jitsu cauliflower
Damn,
guys.
dude.
So, yeah, like you're almost like not spoon-fed laughs, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. It's like it's a like I shouldn't say unlosable because there's probably some guys that probably would bomb, but and
there's nights that aren't as good as others. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
I'm sure.
But like it's like I find Absolute kind of like that too.
Yeah,
It's a very much of a warm crowd, but which is weird because you'll hear some comics talk shit about it, like, oh, it's an easy room. But I'm like, don't you want to have a good time once in a
exactly.
while? Like,
Dude,
you're never fucking sadist.
I feel like you're never
Comedy-
gonna please a comedian. There's always something
nuts,
wrong. Yeah.
dude. It's like, yeah, but they were already there to have fun. I'm like, yeah, you fucking idiot. It's a comedy show.
Yeah, the fucking some chick in the front, her titties were too big, couldn't stop looking. You know, like
Jesus
no.
Christ, bro.
But so I hear guys saying that you have to do other rooms to stay honest, but at the same time, can't remember who I was talking to about this, and they brought up a good point. That like the guys that are doing the mothership regularly, they're all like it's like ex-comic and friends. They're all like touring comics that are doing, you know, big shows like theaters or whatever, that they're used to warm crowds. For them, that's perfect because that's the crowd they're used to, right?
Yeah.
Right? They're used to that kind of, it's almost it's as, you know, as close to a theater or an arena or whatever that you can simulate, whatever that means, that you can simulate, because it's just like, you know, like tag laugh, punchline laugh, like it's automatic, you know. And you don't always get that at random shows, right?
For sure. And I'm not saying, I think every space has its place.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you do those dive bars, you do the hell rooms or whatever, to get you prepared for like when you're faced in a position, like say if you are doing, because like a lot of like Absolute Ottawa, for instance, another hot fucking crowd. But the late shows on the weekends can get crazy because people are drunk as fuck. They have nothing to do. It gets rowdy. But that's
Ottawa, man.
Yeah, bro, they're nuts, dude. Because they have nothing to do. You know what I mean? Everybody comes there just to get fucked up.
No, that's why Trudeau did blackface. He was just bored. He was like,
exactly.
fuck, I got nothing to do,
I got
baby.
nothing to do, bro.
Put some face paint on, you know.
But that's why India invaded, because fucking Modi is the prime minister of India. He's a very Hindu extremist. He's like, this guy's Punjabi, bro. This guy, we need to kill him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my god.
No, I'm just kidding. But like that's what those rooms I think prep you for. You know what I mean? Like when I first started, like the open mic scene has kind of dwindled out now. I would say there are open mics now for sure, like here and there, but bro, when I first started, like every day you could get like 2 or 3 mics in.
That's insane. I hear people say that because like I haven't been around for that long. Like, just, you know, just before COVID. So apparently, like before COVID, it was like I hear people, like guys that have been around for a little longer, say like it was a different world.
Yeah, it was. I'm
like,
crazy.
man, I wish I was there to see that.
It was
that
crazy.
Sounds awesome.
I'm not really, because like you were performing for other comedians.
Oh,
like,
right.
Or like there was no audience members, but I think what that did do, like after the fact, which I realized, was in the moment when you're doing it, you're like, bro, I'm like, because in a one night you would go to like, you would hit up like, say for instance, like if it was like a Monday, you might go to like Laughing Buddha, which was like a dive bar. You would sign your name up, you would run to another show, sign your name up there, then sign your name up at a third mic, then you would run back to the first show, do your spot, go to the second show, then the third show. But you would like, it would be like 1 or 2 in the morning, there would be like 3 people left, and there were probably comedians. So it's like in your mind you're like, why the fuck am I doing this? This is not gonna help my career. But it's not until after the fact you realize that whole thing was just to prep you to get confident on stage, to like know what your timing is, hear yourself on like, and get comfortable to the silence. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's my favorite type of comic.
I'm real comfortable with the silence, bro. I'm so comfortable. That's my pocket, bro. That's my pocket.
But those
people hear an AC, I hear just, yes, you're crushing right now. That's what you want to hear. But do you have that in different rooms? There's always like, I feel like Keys, that's another reason I love Keys. He has like a portable air conditioning right on stage. So when you're bombing, you just hear the buzz of the AC. And like his debit machine in the back for him selling his fucking Heinekens. That's how you know you're doing really well. When you hear like ding in the back, you're like, oh yeah, baby, we're in the pocket.
Oh fuck.
But yeah, man, that's crazy. I wish I could have seen that.
It was nuts. It was a different world in a sense. Like it was a community, which was sick. Like I think now, but what I will say is a lot of the newer people that came in now created like this independent scene, which I think is way better for Toronto comedy, because like we didn't have, like, we had indie shows and stuff for sure back in the day, but many of them were very like gate kept, like, you know what I mean. And now it's more
like so the producer and friends.
Producer and friends, exactly. Where now I think it's like starting to branch out more, and like because the pool of like guys that have been doing it for a longer time, or like people that are actually like headliners or whatever, like it is smaller and more
Yeah.
noticeable, there's more work out there.
Yeah.
Which I feel like before it was harder to find that if you weren't in with the clicks.
Right,
You know?
right.
Which I think
Yeah.
is dope.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? Like I think back to when I was doing like a lot of mics, and I still remember days where I would do exactly that. I'd go to like one mic, sign up, go to another mic, do that, and
Yeah.
then go back, and then probably like hit another one, like,
Yeah,
and like
yeah, yeah.
plan it all out, like you're fucking like doing rocket science. But so I still feel like I had that experience, but I do now. Like literally, like just yesterday, I was a little bored, and I went on like the Facebook page, and I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, what's happening tonight? And there was a couple of mics, so that's good, right? And I know there's some days that are like more dead than others, but I feel like maybe it's coming back, hopefully, like
Yeah,
the mics
for
and
sure.
stuff. And the community is, I mean, I feel like any comedy scene is a microcosm. It's like there will be cliques, there will be
Yeah.
it's interesting traveling, because I feel like traveling you don't really get to experience what it really is, because like everybody's nice to outsiders kind of, right?
Yeah,
When you're
yeah.
a traveling comic,
Yeah.
so you don't really see like who likes who, and like, but like
You
once
you don't get like caught up in the internal politics.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But like even going to like Austin, and most recently I was just in LA, like just for a few days, and LA is a different ball game. There, like you can read about the beefs, like there's like YouTube channels dedicated to that shit.
No way.
Yeah, man.
Jesus Christ.
Like
okay.
yeah, there's like channels that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers that are dedicated to comedy beefs.
What the
Like in podcast
fuck?
shit. I can't, like, it's my guilty pleasure. I want to
Yeah.
say I don't watch them, but I definitely do.
That's so funny.
With all these podcasters and whatever, but it's I don't know, I feel like it's almost like that in any industry.
Yeah, you're not gonna. There's no way you can escape it.
Yeah.
I think that's bound to happen. One thing I will say though that I've noticed, like I said, the click shit in Toronto, I feel like has died down. There still is some that's existent.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
think, like you said, once you start to travel for comedy, those things have less of a impact on you, just
Right.
because more so it's like you realize Toronto is such a small pool. It's
Oh.
like, brother, you want to gatekeep this bar on Ossington? Fucking keep it, bro.
Sure.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
care, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I think, like, keeping it, I think when you, like you said, like, this is just a starting point
Yeah.
for when you go out into the world, and you want your comedy to be universal. You don't want it to be pigeonholed with just Toronto references and whatnot. Like, you want to be able to talk to crowds from everywhere.
That's such a good point, man. And I felt that when I was coming back from doing, like, anytime I do like a really cool show that's like outside of Toronto or outside of Canada, I come back and I'm a little depressed because I'm like, oh, I'm back, and then I realized, I'm like, man, like this is like, there's so many talented comedians in Toronto,
It's insane.
and at the same time, what you said is completely true. Nothing really matters.
Yeah.
So you're just learning from all these super talented people that have more than enough talent to be as successful as the most successful comedian
Yeah.
but just don't, because that's the way the industry works. And you're surrounded by them, and you're doing shows with them, and you're following them, and sometimes they're following you, and you're learning all these things in the shadows. So
Yeah.
when you do get those opportunities to open for a big comedian or do this big show, you're ready. That's how I look at it. I'm just getting
100%.
better in the shadows.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
And Chris Rock said this one thing that like still stuck with me, where he's like, you can be discovered too early, but you can never be discovered too late.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can get opportunities very early on in your career, which you weren't necessarily ready for at the time.
Right.
And then bomb for the rest of the fucking, you know what I mean? Bomb the after effect of it.
Yes,
But
yeah.
like, once you're seasoned, like you said, once you've been grinding it out and like you finally get an opportunity, you're going to be ready for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not one of those things where it's like, you're not just a industry plant. You're there for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
And my biggest wake up to that was like when I started getting festivals and shit, or like JFL, like I did it like, RIP, by the way.
Yeah, R.I.P. JFL, bro.
Yeah.
I snuck in last moment.
Yeah, Jesus.
Last minute.
You know what was fucking crazy about that?
Yeah.
Was that there was nothing in, like, yeah, people knew shit was going on, but there was nothing in the air that was gonna say like, yo, tomorrow you're gonna wake up and the biggest comedy festival in Canada is gonna be gone.
Yeah.
Every comic unanimously was just as shocked.
Yeah,
Even the agents, none of the
Yeah.
JFL scouting agents fucking knew. They woke up and got the news,
I know.
which is crazy.
Isn't that
it's like-
crazy?
but
and,
like,
and all the open micers are like happy, like, yeah, let's go. Like I was gonna or they're either happy at JFL's downfall, or they're like, fuck, I was about to get new faces like right now.
Yeah,
Like it was
yeah,
gonna be me, bro.
yeah.
I feel it.
yeah, bro. And my
I
time
love
is
it.
coming. But that's what I mean, bro. You see things like that, and you realize how artificial these accolades really are, and are
Yeah,
like
man.
we
Yeah.
just put the value on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what you said about doing shows, traveling, doing shows, I learned, and like I almost, what you said about being discovered like too early or whatever, I always have a little bit of that like imposter syndrome, because I'm like, I've only been doing
Yeah.
it for I say 5 years, but not really, because like there was the pandemic and I was here for that. So really only like a couple years of actual stand up doing shows consistently.
Yeah.
Right. And I've had all these huge opportunities, and like, you know, whatever, like I've been super lucky because of social media, or like, you know, Christina or whatever. But like I feel that, and I'm like, you know, but at the same time, it's like, I'm like, when I was in Austin, for example, I did so many shows,
Yeah.
and like my learning curve was so accelerated, and those little like pieces of like I was like having conversations with, like, I'm not gonna name drop or anything. I was just like, but I was at the mothership having conversations with like my literal idols, and I was like, this is you right now, and I'm me, and we're just chilling.
Yeah.
And like the shit they were telling me, and just like little pieces of wisdom, and like, yeah, like one guy told me exactly like what you said, like the Toronto references, right? Like you need to make jokes that are like
Universal, yeah.
evergreen, which means like, you know, not like Biden jokes or Trump jokes, those will be like outdated or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that can travel, right? Like
Yeah.
the TTC joke, you know, I have a Subway joke, but I don't call it a TTC. It's like a Subway joke. So I did it in LA, right? If I'm in New York, I can do it. I can't do it in Austin because they have buses, but I actually made that joke work with buses. That was like actually a really cool example of doing, I have one joke that I really like that has to do with the TTC. I wrote it about the TTC,
Yeah.
but I had to adapt that joke to where I was, and
and
see how that works. You know what I mean?
and you learn shit like that too, like when you do a lot more road work, is that like you can fine tune your material, or switch up a certain tags here and there depending on where you are, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, like I think that was the biggest thing for me to learn too, is that like, and getting over that feeling of like what you talked about earlier, like, yo, I feel like I should be on this show, or like I deserve to be on this show, whatever. But then you realize like, yo, Toronto isn't gonna make or break my career. It's definitely not gonna make my career, but like, you know what I mean?
Just get better, bro. Like just accept the bomb, accept the, if you crush, accept that, learn from that. And like, what I just had a point in my head that, it just made me realize that like what you said just now, like if somebody's doing better than you, you're like, fuck, like, you know, I deserve to be there. And then what I felt about like the imposter syndrome, it's like, it's our brains, dude, are never going to give us a break. Whether you're doing like, you know, whether it's you're kind of jealous of somebody, or you feel the opposite, like you don't deserve, you're always going to have something in your head.
100%.
So it's like, just do the work, you know, that's the only thing you have. And like, yeah, like this is a huge city at the end of the day.
Yeah.
With crowds are there. There is so many avenues for you to get better at stand up. And like you said about content being complementary, like do that. That's also like you translate things from putting out content to your comedy, right? Like I'm just getting into acting a little bit, and I'm learning so much from that.
Yeah.
From
100%.
like, it's completely different. I'm not saying it has any, like, it's not, I'm not drawing any comparisons, but there's a lot you can learn from acting that you can apply to stand up, and vice versa, right? So yeah, it's all about mindset, I guess. I don't know.
And like you said, man,
yeah.
the talent in the city is insane.
Insane.
Like
yeah.
they're like even going to the States and stuff for a couple shows. Like when I first went to New York, I remember like being very paranoid and in my head, kind of the same, you know, thing that you were feeling, like the imposter syndrome. But also it was like, yo, this is like the mecca of comedy. Like this is gonna be like this is the spot where it started. This is where it was birthed. Where like
Yeah.
some of the best comics came out of. So you're like, you feel like you're gonna have to like really fight for you to prove yourself. And it kind of felt like that, especially the way the comics were treating me, because they're like, when they found out I was from Canada, they weren't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
like, they're like whatever. But then when you go on stage and you do your thing,
Yeah.
and they start showing you love, it's like you realize, you're like, yo, this is just a bigger city, but the game is the game wherever you go, you know. And there's like, I can name off the top of my head like like 10 comics from Toronto that I think could go par to par with some of the best in New York. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, but I think that's like the other big thing about it, is that like what you said, you kind of just keep your head down, focus on your craft, and don't worry so much about the accolades, because
Yeah.
those things will come. Like your following will come. You
Yeah.
want it to be organic. You don't want to be a character on stage or a character on social media. You want them to come because they like you for what you're putting out as like, you know, as like the individual, as your story and whatnot. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a blessing and a curse being Canadian. You know what I mean? Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, all of our goal is to get that visa to go
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you know
yeah. Get
the
to the
States, baby, like the promised land. But like, think about how many successful comics there are that are from Canada that
Yeah.
started here, just like us.
100%.
Right? So like, there is a way. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and there's people that stay in Canada and have good careers. Like who again, like that, even saying that, like, yeah, like the goal is to go to the States. Yeah, maybe for me, but like that's not necessarily everybody's goal. Fuck, like
100%, dude.
who am I to say that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's just wants to chill here and do like there's plenty of opportunity there. You can be a working comic here
Yeah.
as well, right?
Like for myself, I don't ever foresee, like I never foresaw wanting to necessarily live in the States. I would love the freedom to be able to move back and forth and work
Yeah,
there whenever
yeah,
I want to.
yeah.
But I think I would always like, I saw myself being more stationed here in Canada, and who knows, like the future can change any moment. But
Exactly.
at this moment, I always saw myself just staying here, but having the freedom to move as I please and just perform comedy. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And have it be my like live comfortably career job, whatever the case may be. Like
Right.
I don't need to be the next face on a billboard type of thing. You know what I
True.
mean?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So just, stay at it. You like
Yeah.
the root beer?
Buddy, this was
That
fucking
shit's good. Plug.
nuts.
I don't know. Like, I'll give them a free plug to the 3 listeners.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that fucking, it's hot today. I bought a whole case of that A&W root beer. So good.
Yeah.
It's
I
too
mean, there's
good.
aspartame in it, so my kids might be cooked, but
Yeah. Whatever, bro. We're all vaxxed up and fucking our
everybody's
kids are
gonna be
cooked
having-
anyways. That's it's fine. A little aspartame won't hurt you. I actually always wonder that, because it tastes so good, some of these diet sodas, that I'm like, there has to be a catch, you know what I mean?
Apparently, aspartame is like 10 times sweeter than sugar, but it doesn't contain any calories.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's made or what the fuck it is.
I should know. That's literally down my alley, but I don't know. I don't
But
know.
stevia is like organic, right? That's like a plant or some shit.
I don't know. No, I don't.
Stevia leaf?
Stevia is the brand, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, stevia is a brand. I don't think it's a, like, I know there's a stevia like sugar brand. Aspartame is a chemical that they
Okay.
use to sweeten stuff, I think. But in general, though, I think all of these like artificial sweeteners, there has to be a catch. And there's like research studies that suggest that, they have maybe some, like, they give you like a little bit more cancer than like some, I don't know, man, but
Yeah.
whatever. Like, you're in the sun
You're
anyways.
trying-
You're,
you
you're
might
getting
not get
cancer.
titties, but you might get cancer in them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly. But like, I think I always drink these, and I'm like, yeah, this is good for this. It's definitely better than drinking regular soda.
Yeah, 100%.
But there has to be a catch. Maybe it just makes you like jujitsu a lot.
Maybe. Yeah, it's
Makes you like rolling around with dudes. I don't know.
Okay, I know, again, I don't know if this is even a chemistry question. I just always ask science people the wrong type of science.
Yeah.
That's like my niche. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But lion's mane, chaga, reishi, like these adaptogenic mushrooms
Okay.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there like scholarly studies that show that it does help with, like, what they say it does? Like they say lion's mane helps with like creativity or like, you know, alters brain chemistry and
Yeah, yeah.
stuff like that. Is that real? Or is that,
So okay, so
by the way, this is not a chemistry question.
this is not a chemistry question at all.
Okay,
This is
perfect. The wrong type of science again.
yeah,
Jesus
it's-
Christ.
But this is a nutrition question, and I am, again, just like I like to read up about World War II, I like to read up about nutrition, and it's way more down my alley because it has to do a lot with science. A lot of these chemicals, especially
Yeah,
because I'm an
fuck yeah.
organic chemist. The thing about nutrition, and this is where I caution like everybody with all the content out there about, like, we're in a whole world with the comedy content. There's a whole world with like fitness content,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there's people telling, like, any take you have, like, aspartame gives you cancer, aspartame makes you gay, aspartame gives you autism, whatever. It's out there. There's a video that like describes why it does that.
And they're gonna have evidence.
They're gonna have evidence.
Yeah,
So be
yeah.
very careful with all of that. There is if you are thinking of taking a supplement, I don't know anything about lion's mane. I've heard of it on probably Joe Rogan's podcast or something. So I can't answer your question directly, but what I can suggest you do is, if you are thinking of taking a supplement, there are sources that you can read up about it, that are usually, you want them to be what's called like peer reviewed,
Yeah, yeah.
which that means that it's a actual scientific study that was reviewed by whatever so whoever publishes a study, usually, just like when you put out a piece of content, you're the creator, you have a bias, you want it to do well.
Yeah.
When something's peer reviewed, that means it's like your piece of like your skit that you put out. Imagine if like 5 comedians had to be like, all right, this is good, or it's like, fuck that. That's
Yeah,
shit.
they gotta fact check it, falsify it.
Yeah. Everybody that came to me, I'd be like, this guy sucks. Get him out of
Yeah.
my No, but so peer reviewed studies. There's like databases that you can go on, like SciFinder and stuff like that are free. But my big thing is that nutrition is such a messy science, man.
Yeah.
That because it's so, like, the thing that I love about science is that it's like mostly based in facts. It's like, okay, like you like there's you do A and B happens. It's like either a mathematical equation,
It's definitive.
or physics, or like a chemical reaction. But the problem with nutrition is that it's so fuzzy and like around the edges, that like it's based on genetics, and some people react to these things this way, that like, dude, I dread being like a nutritionist. Cause it's just like the science changes like so quick every day. Like first, like back then they were telling us to eat like carbs, and now it's like carnivore, and then it's like,
Yeah, now they're telling you not to eat no fruits.
Yeah,
or
man.
like no veggies.
no fruits, no. Yeah, there we go. Like,
you know what
don't
I mean?
eat your
It's fucking
veggies, bro.
crazy.
I don't like. I remember like watching fucking like Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man's like, eat your veggies, kids. I don't know what to do, man. So
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. But that's kind of like what I remember when I was taking psych too. Like we talked about that as well. Like there was like that whole, you heard about like that whole thing about the Mozart effect, where they say like if you let your kids listen to Mozart, somehow their IQ gets higher or they get smarter or whatever. But like the actual study that they did, the sample size, it made no difference. Like it was
Right.
like maybe a 0.1 difference,
Yeah.
and it didn't even last for like a longer period of time. It was just for like when they were aging from like 1 to 2, and then
Right.
people use that as evidence to say like prove the study, like, you know what I mean? But they do that with like other shit. Like media is notorious for that. Like when with the whole fucking cigarette smoking thing, and
Yeah.
Sigmund Freud's like nephew put out an advertisement like as part of like the women's movement to get women to like start smoking cigarettes as
Yeah,
a
yeah,
means to like be like anti whatever, like anti patriarchy or anti man type shit, like, you know what I mean, as like a woman's empowerment movement. And then they were coming out with cigarettes that said this one's less cancerous. It's
Yeah.
like, no, it's not.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
he used it as a means to say like this is against the system if you're a woman and you smoke.
yeah, that's the thing. And like, so there is biases to everything. And I think the biggest thing I took from my degree is to actually learn how to read, like dive into scientific literature,
Yeah.
and to be able to like you said, right? Like the scientific study that you said with like the Mozart thing, it's like, okay, so this is the result. This is what you're telling me. Like, okay, technically, like if you let your kids listen to Mozart, they're smarter. Like, okay, so that's the result you got. How did you get it? What experiments did you do? How did you do them?
Yeah,
How did
what
you
was the
design?
sample
Yeah.
size? All of that shit, dude.
All of that, and like it goes into like statistics and being able to read all that shit, and like it's a lot to with social media these days. Like the attention span is shorter, and there's so many people just like throwing shit at you that it's tough to digest.
The headlines are
Yeah.
crazy. Like people don't read the full article; they read some shit. You know what I mean? Like
It's kind of like that. I don't remember who. I just talked to somebody about it, but it's like the dead internet theory. You know what I mean?
what is that?
This is based off of a conversation I had with another comedian who probably heard this on a podcast
Okay.
and or watched it like a reel of a podcast. But it's basically that there's so much shit on the internet now, so much content being created that eventually everything will just like not. There's so much out there that nothing will be impactful, right?
Yeah.
How it used to
I
be
get
like,
that.
there used to be like a few channels and then more channels came along and then streaming. And now with the internet and everybody being a creator or whatever,
Yeah.
that like there's going to be so much that it's just going to be a storm of nothingness. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
So-
bro. I mean, there's like little shit that you see happening now where it's like, dude, like I used to love going to the movies, like the theaters and shit, because of the trailers. Like you would be amped. You'd be like, yo, what?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, what movies are coming out? But now you can literally see all the fucking trailers on YouTube. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like you already seen it by the time you get to the theater. So it's like, yeah, I could see that happening. There's like that kind of that less anticlimactic, like, you know what I mean? You become very desensitized to a lot of that shit.
because you get everything now. You get everything now. All the dopamine, all the rewards, all the
Yeah.
videos, all the movies, or whatever you want. It's all on demand, on your phone, on your computer, on any size screen you want. So it's pretty crazy. But that's why.
Don't
good.
jerk off.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, I mean. Maybe, sometime, not November. Maybe try that out and then just bust a fat nut right after.
Oh, fuck.
And then have a root beer with some aspartame.
Yeah,
and,
bro. There you go.
Be autistic. Whatever.
Yeah.
Being autistic is cool. Get the vaccines,
Boosters.
Get all the boosters. Give me more boosters. Fuck, man. Yeah, I don't know. Stand up is cool. It's not even an old art form, but it's like it's there. It's natural. That's why I feel like we
Yeah.
gravitate toward it. And that's why we're a little maybe defensive about the content. But yeah, man, you got a show. We've been at it for an hour
baby.
and 16 minutes. So
Fuck yeah.
time flies when you're talking about
Autistic.
Pornhub. See, we had different things. Yeah, man, that conversation was all over the place. We had like World War II, then we went into like
Buddy,
comedy,
everything.
and then like okay. Yeah, man, thanks for coming, Jesse. If you
appreciate
want to
you.
plug anything, plug your stuff.
Fuck yeah. You guys can catch me on Instagram and TikTok at the Punjabi Timbit. I'm going to be coming out with the Candlelight tour later this year in September. Going to be announced in July. So if you guys want tickets, more info about the shows and upcoming, show dates, tour dates, peep me on Instagram. And also check out the short film Tales from the Mendem streaming on YouTube.
There we go. Thanks
Oh.
for watching. See you guys.
Appreciate
Peace.
you.